My name is Sadiq Damani. I'm from London and I'm currently studying at the University of Birmingham, having just started. I'm here on a 3-year course doing a BSc in economics. I'm living on campus in the residential halls that are supplied by the university. And yeah, just looking forward to my next 3 years, inshallah. Yeah. I felt that I had a huge interest from when I was younger within the field of business and that kind of area, but then I realised that the actions and behaviour for business depends on the actions and behaviour for a certain market that they belong to, and each and every market then belongs to an economy, and that economy dictates how a market reacts and works. And I felt, as opposed to going in from the smaller aspect, I wanted to go from the overall aspect, which was economics, which controlled those markets, and then eventually delve into a business. From the course content that I've received, the lecture packs, I've been going through them and it's exactly what I expected it to be. I've had a really solid amount of maths already, which is really proving a little bit tricky, but it's part of the course, it's what I want to do, and again, because I enjoy it, the time passes by as quickly as it goes. At the moment, we've just started the advanced macro and micro elements of economics using different theories like game theory, for example, to explain certain behaviours within firms. This is now continued to a different aspect of economics that we didn't study at A-level, which was based in the economic history of Britain and European economic issues. So obviously the European aspects mainly focus on things like the current global financial recession, and also showing the importance of Europe within the global economy, how it interacts with China and elements like that. And similarly, from how Britain has evolved from the economy that it used to have to the one it has now, and what different aspects have influenced this change over time. We have smaller class presentations that we have to do within seminars of about 40-odd people. And personally, because I enjoy public speaking, so for me it's something I enjoy doing. Rather that over exams, written exams. So the different presentations can vary from different topics. It can either be with a group of about 3 to 4 people or by yourself. Obviously research all done by yourself, quoting where need be. And it very much develops your confidence when speaking to a larger audience, to ensure that whenever you do deliver something, it's not boring, it's not tedious, it's exciting. And always brings up new ideas and your own ideas too. Working in groups I've done a couple of times now. It's been an interesting experience, but something I very much enjoy because I like interacting with different people, meeting new people, and breaking that ice is always a lot easier when you have a project you need to work towards, so it's already there for you to go into. So working with different people from different backgrounds, communities and specialised areas, it's an amazing experience to meet different people from different trades of life and whatnot, and I thoroughly enjoy every single aspect of whenever I get to work within a group. The change between A-levels and university, I think it hasn't hit me as much yet being in my first month here at the university. However, from what I've heard, like when you're studying at university, the amount that you've got to do for your degree is very much different to your A-levels. You can't just rely on 2 textbooks to get you through one module. You've got to go into the library and get the dusty books out that you've never seen before. So that will be that will be very much a different experience to what I've had before, and I'm sure then I'll start to feel the jump a lot more than I am experiencing at the moment. In terms of the workload with regard to how much we're actually given, there is a fair amount of contact time, and by contact time I mean amount we spend in lectures, in seminars, in classes. It doesn't compare as much as it did to when you're at college or sixth form, because obviously that's day-to-day, hours on hours. There's a lot of independent studying when you come to university, and I think if you don't put in those hours, you do very much fall behind. It's a lot harder to put your hand up and ask in front of a lecture theatre of 200 students a question than it is in front of a class of 10 to 20. So you really do have to put in those extra hours, and if you do have any problems, don't be afraid to kind of approach your lecturer at the end, or even your tutors or seminar teachers. When you come to university, you take on all the responsibilities that your parents had upon you before you left home. So be it from cooking to cleaning to even ensuring that you're washing up your clothes and ironing them. Thankfully, I'm catered, sorry, and there's a halal option for me. Although you do still get hungry, so you do pick up on those responsibilities that you have to do, and ensuring that everything you do is you have to be certain of everything that you do, especially with regard to the kind of potential experiences you could go on when you're at uni without anyone looking over you. You have to be very independent and know your exact boundary as to what you can and can't do based on your religious thoughts or general thoughts on life. So it does very much promote independence. You're away from home, especially when you're a fair distance away from home, so you can't just jump back whenever you want. So on that front, yeah, it does promote independence, but at the same time, with the means of technology, it's not hard to call home and ask mum, is this a light colour or a dark colour to put in the washing? So you're not exactly that far away at the end of the day. When you go to university, you don't just come out with a degree, in my opinion. You come out with a load more, be it from meeting a whole load of different people from different backgrounds, and just seeing that is something very strange, especially being in London. You're focused around many peers whose parents all work in the city. You come out here and you find people whose parents, they're farmers, and they think it's a normal thing, and for them it is. I had a guest round the other day from one of my friends, one of my flatmates, and he said, yeah, he's from the lower part of Scotland, and they said that over there they just had 2 Asian families brought into the community. It just caused complete uproar within the community. And for me to hear that from London, where 9 out of 10 times when you walk down the street you see a good 4 or 5 Asian families, is a shock. But then you also see how they almost react to that kind of stuff, and it's amazingly, it's an amazing insight to see how different lives, are led, based on your community, based on your wealth, based on many different factors. And I think from university you do pick up on these kind of things, and it does broaden your spectrum a whole load more than being stuck in one area for a very long time. The university is very fond of promoting, whenever wanted, religious faiths, etc. So at the University of Birmingham we have an Islamic society, we have an Ahlulbayt society, and we also have a new one for this year, which is the Ahlus-Sunnah society. All 3, thankfully, they live very much in harmony with one another. There's not been any problems at all. They all seem to have that same vision and don't like to cause any barriers in between or any rifts, and they do work together. And the university very much supports this by giving funding to those societies, by supplying a prayer room which has just been overdone over the summer. So I came in seeing a brand new prayer room, and the facilities are great. There's a place to do ablution or wudu just down the hall, albeit the prayer room's above a bar, but you don't really hear anything coming through. But the university really provides for that kind of stuff, interfaith, many different societies you can join or get involved with. Living on campus has been, so far, a very interesting experience. I knew when I came here I had to get ready for being surrounded by many things obviously our religion prohibits, and ensuring that I stay away from them. And it's been tough, but eventually I think the first few days are key. As soon as you get over it then you're fine. And it also helps when you have company, you have a couple of people that don't go out and do that kind of stuff. So in terms of that, it's been tough, but alhamdulillah I've got through it. But I'd say it's been a great experience as well, living with people from different areas, different communities, different ethnicities, really brings home the diversity within, within culture. And I'd like to think that from the discussions we've had, it's not only just been pointless things, but we've gone deeper. We've spoken about theology and different mindsets with regard to life. And it's been really interesting, really insightful. And we've actually, with one of my flatmates, found that her views on life has actually represented some of the views of Islam. And, it's kind of cool just to see how everything really matches up. Living out has many perks. It's always nice to get away from your own city, experience a different city, what different kinds of people are there. But it also brings that sense of, I'm now an adult and I've got to fend for myself. It's brought along challenges, but it's also brought along opportunity. Being nearer the campus, I've been able to spend a lot longer at the university and not worry about, to an extent, what time I need to get back, because the walking distance is only around 20 minutes. Equally, you can get involved with a lot more stuff, again, due to the proximity of the university to the halls. And it's also given an opportunity to kind of have my own space and develop who I am to an extent. And I'm sure over the years to come, I will start to find myself even further, and that's one of the main perks I'd say about living by yourself away from home. In my flat there are 5 of us, 2 guys, 3 girls, me being one of the guys, and between us I'm doing economics, then there's geography, chemistry, English and medicine. And I think the diversity has also kind of brought us together because we've kind of honed in on, oh, this is what we do in our course, and this is what we do in ours, and you kind of see a few similarities here and there. But it is tough to an extent because when you do start getting on with some work and you do fall into a little bit of trouble, you are a little bit by yourself. I can't exactly go to my flatmate who's a medic and ask for some help on an economic theory because she wouldn't have the foggiest. But also it's nice to not always be enclosed in that same subject matter. You can kind of branch out, pick up small different things here and there. And you know, it's been awesome so far, and I'm sure it will bear many fruits in the future too, to be living with so many different people. Living on campus, of course, does have its disadvantages. You do have to, you know, very much watch out for what you're eating. That's one of the key things I'd say. You know, the temptation for a takeout is much easier to give into than it is to when you're at home. You've also got to watch out for your washing. You know, it's very independent, so you can slip up here and there. But I think by slipping up, you do learn, and you pick up small different things as you go. I think I definitely am starting to miss my mum's chicken curry every now and then. There's nothing like a homemade one. But it's also good to get your taste buds kind of in tune with more English-style dishes. So, for example, yesterday I had chicken and mushroom pasty with beans and chips, and I'm not going to complain about that. But when they try and cook up a curry, I'm not too fond of it, to be quite honest. It's obvious that tuition fees have gone up by, well, 300%. It's gone to £9,000 now. So it is a little bit tough to swallow that we've had to deal with it. However, I don't think it's changed my mind at one point whether I'm going to pursue a degree or not. I think, in my opinion, a degree is quite essential, especially in this day and age, to go forward and look on, due to how many people have them. Of course, you can go on without one, but for the course that I wanted to go into areas I wanted to do, I think a degree from a good standard university was absolutely essential. My parents always backed me on it. It's never changed, and I don't think I'll ever look back on it. And I think anyone that is a little bit 50-50 as to whether they should pick up a degree and they're thinking the money is going to hold them back, there are many schemes that help this. Alongside with the £9,000 fees, they've given a whole load of bursaries and scholarships that are a lot easier to attain. So I don't think it should stop anyone from going towards a degree. And to be honest, in my opinion, I think I would encourage it completely. Being in Birmingham, I've felt the pinch of living out. People would say, oh, you've gone to the Midlands, it's not going to be that expensive. However, the University of Birmingham is pretty much, you know, it's got very similar prices to that of those in London. So I have kind of felt the pinch quite a bit. However, it's almost as if I'm being at home. I'm seeing the same kind of prices. Nothing's really changed on that front. It is expensive, of course, when you need to go rent out your own apartment or your own flat or room, depending. And I think you do feel it a little bit on that side, and you do have to sacrifice in the other. But then, of course, there is the student loan that keeps people alive and healthy when they spend that in the right ways. So I think you do feel it, but for the experience you get, I don't think money should be the key issue. You should just get on with it and enjoy it. I'm actually in a I'm in a catered hall, meaning I get my breakfast and dinner given to me, and we get £42 a week to spend on that. So in terms of like going out and cooking my own stuff and getting my own groceries, etc., I don't really have to do that, although the occasional time you do make some pasta or whatever. In terms of like shelf space and kitchen stuff, it sounds so petty, but it's so important. You've really got to come up with a strategy. It is, to an extent, whatever's in the cupboard is yours. However, if you leave it on the table, it's up for grabs. So advice I'd give out, don't leave biscuits on the table because they disappear within seconds, and it's usually me that's the culprit. But I think, you know, you have to be careful, obviously, with mixing halal and non-halal food. Kind of telling your flatmates early on that I don't really want it mixed up, and many are happy to just go with that, and they have no problem sharing saucepans, etc. And alcohol as well, you just say you can't stop them from bringing it into the flat, but you can tell them, look, this is my room, don't bring it in here. And you know, I haven't had any problems thus far with regard to that. everyone's very respectful of the views, and I think so long as you put your view across in a calm way and explain it to them, they appreciate it and respect it, as opposed to go aggressive and go against it and try and rebel against it. So I think there's a key method to kind of put your thoughts forward on that front. In terms of like the roommates, my roommates, my flatmates I should say, I spend a good amount of time with them, but obviously they do go out here and there. So I do have other friends within the accommodation that I can just go, if they're not going out, we'll meet up, do stuff. And you do meet a lot of people from a lot of the events organised by the university. For example, we had a quiz night the other night with over 150, I think maybe even 200 people that came to. And you just make teams and you meet different people, and then from there you start to invite them over, you go and do stuff, etc. Especially sport as well. From going to sports trials and whatnot, I've picked up a load of friends from there. Watching sport, there's so many different ways where you can kind of meet different people, and even from your course. And eventually, in the first few days, you do find yourself a little bit alone if you don't go out. But eventually, over time, as the weeks go on, as the months go on, you do have a closer set of friends, or even just a set of people that you can kind of look to and almost go to see on a regular basis. So you're not really finding yourself alone, unless if you're buried within your work. Making friends within university initially is quite a tough task. You have to be very much go out there and go say hi to anyone you meet, otherwise you're literally just going to be by yourself. One problem that we faced, and that I faced especially, was in the first few days when everyone is going out on the freshers events, they do kind of make their own friend circles from there. So it is very tough to kind of keep yourself motivated and just talking to anyone. So be it at lunch, in the prayer room, in sports, whatever, you just got to talk to anyone and everyone. And I think it is safe to say there are different groups that already form, but I think when you live around one another for such a long time, those groups rapidly change. They never really stick. So long as you do have, so long as you do speak to everyone and anyone, people will be more than happy to come and say hi to you the next time. And I think it's absolutely key for us to kind of go out and say hi, introduce who we are. And then from there, they'll realise, what great characters we are. And then they'll realise what motivates us to be such characters. And of course, it's none other than our religion. And people really do come to appreciate that. And it does open their eyes a lot more. On campus, especially a campus like this in the University of Birmingham, there's a ridiculous amount to do. Be it from do what you've got to be here for, which is study, to going to watch sports in the different areas that you can go. Even be it just sit down and socialise with friends. There's so much, and let alone the sports. The sports facilities at most unis are absolutely fantastic. You're never really short of anything to do. If you do find yourself a little bit, what's next? You just go home. It's just down the road. It's not a long trip. And I'm sure you'll find things to do there when you get back. Especially with the campus being so big, you can literally just sit around and socialise for hours on end, and you'll never really get bored of it, especially with the different societies that are around, from religion to sports to film appreciation, whatever. There's so many events that are also organised that you can just go up to, pay a couple of quid to get in, or even some are free. And you meet so many people there, you get involved, you do different things, be it volunteering, be it working, or be it just socialising. There is so much to do, and I think you only really come to realise it once you engross yourself and get involved. If you keep yourself well away from it all, you're never really going to get, you're not going to get used to it, you're not going to get in touch with everyone. So I think the key thing when you come to university is get involved with everything and anything as soon as possible. So far, it's pretty much been anywhere with regards to where I hang out. It could be in the food court, it could be in the sports areas, it could be, back in my flat. I think over the year coming, I'll kind of find my area, if you like, and I'll kind of settle down there. Although, to be honest, with the uni being so big, you can just go anywhere. There's nothing stopping you. There's so many different socialising areas, different cafes, food courts, like I said. So the options are endless. It's just down to you, wherever you want to hang out. I mean, some people even hang out in the prayer room. I, for one, am not really fond of that. I just go visit 10 minutes a day. So, it's up to you wherever you want to hang out. Being at university, there's quite a wide opportunity for the message of Islam to be promoted, although I think it needs to be very careful. I mean, we find, some people having weeks where they just go out and preach and give forced leaflets down people's throats. And having spoken to a lot of my flatmates especially, they've said they hate learning about things that way. Rather, if they see someone and they learn from example, I think that's the best way for us to really spread the message. So through our behaviour, I think it's absolutely essential, through our mannerisms, through the way that we interact with people. I think spreading the message of Islam is much more appreciated and much more effective in that manner as it is to giving out a leaflet and throwing it down people's throats. If one wants to set up a society, my university's requirements is purely 20 people that are interested to join. And I think there's a small fee of £3 per person. And depending on how many people join the society, the more funding you get. And as a result, societies like the Ahlulbayt Society, the Islamic Society, and now the new one, the Ahlus-Sunnah Society, they can all grow up and flourish. However, I think having too many of the same kind of thing can cause issues and almost divide in politics, whereas one should be united and, you know, we should really be showing our colours through one aspect. We have something called the Guild of Students within university, who are pretty much the students' voice, and these guys manage all these kinds of different things and give off different events. A society can offer the opportunity for a group of people with a similar interest or an exact same interest to come together and organise events or even just meet one another in locations and in places where they can really enjoy themselves with regard to what they enjoy and what their interests are shared in. It's also a great way in which people can meet each other of similar thought tracks, similar trains of thought. And it's a great way to socialise, it's a great way to meet more people, expand your connections network, and I think it's absolutely key for everyone to, when you come to university, just sign up to every society you see. It doesn't have to be religious based, it can be anything, it can be the local radio station, it can be a charitable organisation, anything, just get involved, and that's the key thing. There is this perception that when one lives on campus, they'll automatically go astray and go away from Islam. And I think, you know, when you come to university, you really realise how within students and even the university itself, that alcohol is pretty much the key, and it's, you know, everything revolves around alcohol. But I think for a Muslim to come and stay in halls or on campus, that test at that age of 18, 19, 20 is the best test you can receive, because you're with people that you want to get involved in, but you could be getting involved in a haram way. And I think it's the best test for anyone within our age that starts up university, and it's the best way to really firm your belief. Of course, there are ways in which people will just go off the wrong path and will get easily influenced. I think it's really important for our community and for friends that come to university with you, be they Muslim or not, for them to literally say, what are you doing? You know, get away from that. That's completely against what you've always been for your whole life. So in my opinion, coming to university, it's tough living on campus in terms of the temptations and the all that kind of stuff flying around. But to firm your belief and to know that your belief is solid, for you to kind of stand strong and say no and almost explain to your flatmates, explain to your friends why you don't get involved in this stuff, is the best challenge and the best test that I think anyone our age can ever endure. Living on campus as a Muslim, as a young Muslim, you obviously do come across the obvious problems, be it the temptation to drink, the temptation to go out clubbing, the temptation to whatever be the case. But it's something that you've really just got to get through, and I think it really develops within the new community that you're now within, that you've moved away from home, for you to engross yourself within there, for you to ask them, you know, can we organise things so that, you know, we do have an alternative option that we can go and address. And I think with any Muslim that comes and lives on campus, it's this that is really important for them to hold to. They need to hold on to their values, for what they've believed in their whole life, and for them to continue it. Because it's all well and good being taught the theory behind it, saying that this is forbidden, this is forbidden. But what use is just, you know, saying, okay, yeah, it's forbidden, and practicing it if you don't even know why. I think when you come to university, you really do see why, you know, why we're forbidden from doing certain things. Because from the way different people come home on certain nights, you're like, how can you even enjoy your night when you don't even remember what happened the night before, and you're throwing up all over the place? So in that way, you really see, for a practical example, how beneficial it is that, you know, we're forbidden away from this kind of stuff. I would say if you come into university, not only, you know, I think if you come to university, I think it's really key for you to stay on campus, even if it's just for 1 year, to get that experience, to be exposed and to be by yourself to an extent, is really it's a valuable experience that I'm sure I'll appreciate even more over these next few years that I'm hopefully going to be here for. And I'd advise anyone to do it that way rather than staying at home, because you do learn a hell of a lot, and you don't really think about it until you really get here and experience it. And once you start to experience it, you start to evolve as a character. You start to make up your mind as to, yeah, I do believe in this, I don't believe in that. But equally, I think it's really important to have those kind of people that can keep you on the track, keep you, you know, whenever you start to go a little bit away, to say, get back on it, you know, don't leave the path, etc. But it also shows that independence that I think a lot of youth crave for. We're very much force-fed within the society at the moment, and if we don't get let go of anytime soon and let to experience a few things and try and challenge them ourselves, I think we'll be in this fake nutshell, this fake cocoon, and once we do get exposed at one point, it will all come all of a sudden, and I think it will cause a massive shock, and I think it could really destroy our community slowly. I think my favourite thing about university life so far is probably the social aspect. Meeting so many different people and realising what the differences are between faith, between ethnicity and between culture. It also makes you really value how we've been brought up, how, you know, we're really held on to, looked after our community. And I find I have my identity and I hold strong to it. And I have, you know, some people that I've met over university who have lived a perfectly good life, but they've not really had anyone to hold on to, and they've, from such a young age, developed their own mindset, and it's incredible to see that. We've been given a book with guidance, with rulings, and we learn it and we practice and we abide by it, whereas these guys, they had the free will, and yet I still come across so many people who are like, yeah, I don't drink, what's the big deal? It's like, what, it's not your religion that dictates that? No, I just don't like drinking, you know, it's stupid, how can you see the sense of it? And, you know, there's so many different people that you can meet, and you can meet the complete opposite. You can meet people who are well for drinking and yet incredible people. And I think when we are given these guidelines, we almost think if you do anything against it, that's it, you're the worst person on the face of the planet. Whereas you really open up when you come to university, you really open up and see these different kinds of people that you thought that never existed. You know, some people really just don't think that way. And it's really interesting to see. So I think the social aspect, meeting people, talking to them, developing ideas, sharing thoughts and whatnot, has been absolutely amazing. I'm sure that will, you know, definitely continue to happen over the next few years. I think so far the hardest 2 years of my life had to have been A-levels, to the extent where I was taking maths, economics, French and ICT. And it got to the point where I would literally feel, you know, forget it, I can't actually do this anymore. And it happened, I'd say, on 4 occasions for sure, where I was literally, you know, about to go speak to my parents that I can't actually do this, I can't physically do it. But then once you kind of get that thought and say, you know what, I can kind of look forward to it, you kind of go back on the university of your choice, you know, their website, and you see the kind of different opportunities available. You see what your ultimate goal, and it's right in front of you, what you really want. And it motivates you massively, and I think use that as your motivation. It's absolutely key, because I promise you, on that time of results day, with whatever outcome you go, it's a weird feeling. For me, thankfully, it worked out for the best. I got into my top choice university, and it's fair to say I put a gut and sweat to get there. And that feeling in that morning when you see the relief, you know, the sigh of relief when you see you've got in, it's something that's absolutely incredible. And I would hate to think if I'd given up that I would have just let go of this opportunity to come to the University of Birmingham to study the course that I want and to meet the people that I have. I would have just regretted it for the rest of my life.